Hello again, Steve here to share some thoughts after going through some material that was produced by Mark Passio, a guy named Mark Passio, freedom advocate kind of guy. Yeah, he has a lot of good stuff to say. I think he goes over the deep end once in a while personally in his apparent belief in people getting abducted by aliens and stuff like that. But I try to put people's beliefs aside and go with what they've reasoned through, and the stuff that he reasons through I find is quite good. And one of the things I picked up from him today is what he calls the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine. Now I usually don't use those words sacred and so on too much, but I try to read through what he's actually talking about. And what I get from him in terms of what this means is kind of like the essence of femininity and the essence of masculinity in terms of social behaviors. And what he talks about the sacred feminine is what he calls the non-aggression principle, which is non-aggression principle is sort of a philosophical principle that says that we're not going to initiate violence or force against anybody. So that would mean that self-defense, for example, would not be the initiation of force, because that would be somebody has to initiate force against you before you would then defend yourself. So women tend to be very much of or the feminine side tends to uphold that non-aggression, right? And what he calls a sacred masculine is the self-defense. And there are two sides of an equation, really, right? One says, I'm not going to initiate force. The other one says that if initiation of force is used against me, then I will be forceful, but as a result of that initiation of force. So, to be balanced as human beings, I would say, from this, we have to have a little bit of the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine in us to be moral agents, basically, right? If we don't have some of the sacred feminine, then we could possibly become psychopathic and transgress and aggress against others. And if we don't have some of the sacred masculine, then we can be shit on by anybody, right? And he goes on to talk about how what he calls the controllers or the archons of the world want to emasculate, they want to take the male side out of it. Non-aggression principle's fine for them, as long as they can still do it, right? Because if you're going to have a ruler, they got to be able to transgress and aggress against you. But they don't want you to do that to them. But they certainly don't want you to act in self-defense. And I've been saying this for quite a while, that part of what appears to be part of the feminist movement has been to, I don't know if it's deliberate or not, or if it's just a side effect, has been to put down men, right? Because you want to elevate women to a different status, to become more man-like. Then one thing you can do is also bring the man's masculinity down, so you don't have to. There's not as much of a change needed in women to be like that. And not that one's better than the other. It's two sides of the same coin, really, right? And so if you look at history, conquering powers, whether they're from without or from within a society, they have to subdue the male aggression, right? They have to subdue that, because that's always been the defender of the family. You have to kill the family. You have to destroy the family. And one of the ways that you do that is you propagandize women, right? Hitler knew this. Apparently, many occult leaders have known this. Because if you can get women to be a certain way, then men will follow because they want to get laid, right? They want to propagate their species. So the men who will go along with the women are the ones who get the women. And of course the children will follow because they're educated by the women. Always, right? Always. The formative years are the woman's domain, almost exclusively for children. So yeah, the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine, I think, are important to uphold. I'm not sure if I'd use that terminology once again, sacred masculine, feminine. I might just use, you know, femininity and masculinity. Makes sense though that it makes sense that, and I like those two aspects because they are so important to our social interaction. Non-aggression principle, which means we don't initiate force against others, and we self-defend when we're attacked, either through slander or from verbals or physical attack, or whatever it is, especially physical attack, or attack against our property or whatever, right? Or attack against our family. We defend, and that's also been a principle that's from time immemorial, right? So, yeah, Mark Passio as a recommendation, thumbs up. I think he's got a lot of good stuff. I think some of his beliefs are a little bit odd, although I can't really comment that much because I haven't heard of him talk too much about that, about visits from aliens. But for the most part, when he puts on his thinking cap and his rational side, it's got a lot of good value to share, I would say. Steve here again. Great chatting. Talk again soon. Bye for now.